The conversation continues, or tea or coffee this morning. Now we're going to be looking at, I'm going to be giving you some safety tips when you are in a medical facility. All right, maybe you're not being attended to as quickly as possible, or whatever the case may be. We're going to be giving you some tips to ensure that, you keep yourself safe in a hospital, in a medical facility. So although we never hope for it, there will come a time when either you or a loved one will need to visit a hospital. For some, this is like visiting a foreign country with a language you are unfamiliar with. There are many feelings associated with this visit, including fear, anxiety, concern, and uncertainty, to name a few. Hospitals work tirelessly to keep patients informed and safe during their stay, but in order to achieve this, they also need your help. And this is very true, actually. Again, I think this is a reminder that we are not doing this to, bash is the word that comes to my mind. We're not doing this to bash healthcare providers in Nigeria.
Downplay their efforts. That's not what we're doing this morning.
As a matter of fact, we celebrate you. They are, I don't know, would it be far-fetched for me to say that, they have been the most essential, most important essential workers, especially in these times of the pandemic, because of, it has been a life. They have been the one that have been on the front line, putting themselves at risk of actually contracting this virus that doesn't care whether you're a doctor or a banker, So we really do commend your efforts.
Putting their life on the line.
Yeah, and I also stated that that it's interesting to note that a lot of the comments that we took this morning, we saw more pleasant experiences than negative experiences. So that shows that majority of healthcare providers and medical facilities in the country are doing a good job. But for the small percent that are not doing a good job, because it's a life and death thing, because it can be a life-altering mistake made by the medical facility, we need to address this conversation.
Also, we need to say this, there are times whereby it is not the medical practitioner, sometimes it is the institution or the facility that may be a problem. That you notice that I use the word may, because of course these things are here and there. And there are times whereby these people try their possible best, but of course because of where they are at the moment, the kinds of limited, you would hear them say, okay, so we have limited resources and we have to manage. So because of these things too, it can, contribute to some of the conversations that we're having this morning. But all the same, like Adia said, kudos to everyone that has been doing their job and has been doing very well. Now we're going to be going into the tips that you should have. Just know, so when you're going to the hospital, you know what to do. Now the first one says, don't go to the hospital alone. Always bring someone else with you. This person can be a trusted, healthy family member or friend. That person will be your primary advocate and can serve as an extra set of eyes and ears to help make sure you are safe and are well catered for. This tip applies to routine doctor's appointments too. Yes, actually. Yes, I understand that there are times where you might not be able to, go with anybody, but please, if you're going for your routine checkup or you're going to get medical attention or whatnot, don't go alone. If you're driving, don't be the one driving. Probably get somebody that would drive you, especially if you're going to get drugs or you're going to get injections, whatnot. Anything can happen. Or you need them to attend to you, and this person was there when something happened to you. You should go with them so they can give
an account.
Give accurate account of what has happened. You fainted. You don't know that you fainted. You don't know how you fainted, but this person was there when you fainted. So they can tell the doctor that, okay, so she was dancing in circles and she fainted. Or she was moving and then something happened. Or she hit her leg on the suit and everything. So, all these things are very important. That's one of the reasons why we're advising that when you're going to the hospital, please don't go alone.
It's also worthy to say that, to people who are watching, if you have a family member who needs to go to the hospital, a family member or a friend who needs to go to the hospital, and maybe you notice that they're going on alone or they want to go on their own, it's worth saying that please follow them, for their own safety and so that we don't hear bad news later. Okay, so the next tip that we have for you this morning is to prepare ahead. So bring all the things you would normally bring with you to a doctor's appointment, including a list of your medical problems and allergies. Don't assume that you can completely rely on your health records in the hospital, especially since mistakes happen sometimes. It's also important that you bring all the drugs that you take or have taken so that there will be no mistake about what dosage and how often you take your medications. Keep your main doctor's phone number handy in case you need any information and he or she is not physically available. This also cannot be overstated. You know, you're going, except in an emergency. You know, in an emergency, you didn't know that you'll be going to a hospital anyway. So it just happened out of the blue and now you need to be quickly rushed to a hospital. But if you know that you are going to a hospital well ahead of time, this particular one of having your doctor's phone number handy is very important, because especially when you're not going to that doctor, so that when you're going to a different doctor, you can't answer some questions, you can just say, you know what, I'm going to call my doctor, you can speak to him. So those two professionals are speaking, and then the doctor is attending to you will be better informed, and capable to deal with whatever issue that you're having, that you're actually having. So this cannot be overstated. Prepare ahead of time. Be well prepared before you go to a hospital.
I agree with you. Now, this next one says, know your care team. Your care team consists of healthcare professionals caring for you during your stay. All staff should have an identification badge with a minimum of their first name listed on the badge. And then, of course, on the badge will be their discipline and the departments in which they're employed. You should feel comfortable to ask the staff member to see their badge if it is not visibly worn, or if the discipline and department is not on the badge. You can even ask that they introduce themselves to you during your care and treatment. Yes, actually, know the name of who is attending to you. What is your name, doctor, if he's not wearing his ID card? Or what is your name, ma'am? What is your name, miss? What is your name, sir? Whomever it is, let me know who you are. Where do you work? Okay, so this is not the person that attended to me yesterday. Because, so what I know that is normal is when somebody is changing shifts and all of that, they will come and introduce the next person to you that, okay, so this is Dr. John. Dr. John will be taking care of you from now on because my shift has ended. And then, okay, this is Nurse Bosse. Nurse Bosse will be the ones, changing your this and then giving you new drips and giving you drugs. And then this is this and this is that. That way you're able to be familiar with all these people so that random people will not just be coming, the hands are changing all over you. If something has happened to you, you can say that, okay, so when Bosse came into the hospital, or when Bosse came into my ward, this was what happened. My hands started to swell, but that was not what happened when Dr. John was around. Exactly. You're able to identify everyone that has done something. I do not like Dr. John treating me because he's not attentive. He's not very nice. I'm going to share an example with you. So I went to the hospital with a friend, and then I went to get food. So they were attending to my friend. So when I got back, they said the doctor wanted to see me because it was just me and my friend. I was there. And then when I went to see the doctor, he was very rude. He was extremely rude. And then it was like that. He asked me to get a particular phone number of my friend's mom so that they can ask certain questions about my friend's birth and everything, what happened, all of this is because the reason why she was at the hospital is something that's happened to her for a very long time, but they've not been taking care of it. So I was like, okay, let me look for her number and send it to you. And then he said, I'm talking to you, you're pressing your phone.
Interesting, okay. Right.
I said, but you asked me to check for this person's number. Well, shouldn't it be after I'm done talking?
Are you serious? Are you bringing daddy vibes to work?
I don't get. Hey, I was so, when you're dumbfounded and you're not sure of how you should respond to this person and you're like, I just said, I don't appreciate your tone. I really do not appreciate your tone. He said, and then he started talking a certain way, and then he just said whatever it is that he wanted to say, and then he said, okay, so let's just go and see my friend and give my friend the food and everything. When a senior medical officer came, I reported immediately that I do not want this man to care for my friend. I am not happy about it because I know he will bring the same vibe to want to treat. Who knows if he knows his job?
Exactly.
How do I know you know your job? Because if you knew your job, obviously you would not be doing what you did earlier on. Exactly. Because that's not professional. I was very upset.
This particular one is really about forming a form of relationship with your care team by knowing them, and then you obviously you acknowledge who they are, and then the ones that are just rude and just seem that they don't care enough, you can then now ask for them to replace them. But I feel like this one is really about establishing a form of relationship with the people that you're caring, that are actually caring for you. All right. So the next tip that we have for you this morning is to know who to call for help and how. This includes knowing who will be the night duty doctor and nurse. That is, for example, you arrived in the morning and have been attended to stay for a while. Find out how you can reach them too. If you're in trouble, or if your advocate sees you are in trouble, how will you get help? Who do you call? Many hospitals have a rapid response team or a code team that come to assist in emergency situations. This and more can be known if you ask the right questions. This is essentially developments from the one that we've just done about knowing your care team, having a form of relationship with your care team, and hospitals work in shifts. So there are people who would work from, morning to about the evening, and people who work from the evening till about the next day until the next day. So you can have 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., those kind of shifts in a hospital. So it's worth knowing who is on duty while you are in the hospital. So if, for instance, if Dr. George was on duty when you got into the hospital, and now Dr. John has replaced Dr. George, you need to know that so for you to not keep looking for Dr. George and then you're going in circles, you need to know that, all right, it's now Dr. John that will be on duty, or is Nurse Titi that has taken over from Nurse Mary. So you need to know who is around and who is available and who is attending to. I would think that it is the responsibility of the hospital to say that, all right, Dr. George has closed, I'm on duty now. But I would think that that's what they should be doing. But if you're in a facility or in a hospital that are not responsible or sensitive to these issues, then you can find out for yourself, or ask whoever is with you, your advocates, to find out for you.
All right, this exercise says, ask about every test done and medication offered. Don't just consent to tests. They all have risks, so ask about them. Ask questions like, why is your blood drawn every morning? What is the purpose? Why are you getting the CT scan? Get answers to your questions. You should discuss every test with your doctor in advance of doing them and have a thoughtful discussion about risks, benefits, and alternatives. Ask about the treatments or medications you are being offered to. Please, this is so important. Do not take what you've been given hook, line, and sinker.
Yes.
Whatever it is, ask questions. Why am I getting tested? I've been here for 2 days, and then why is it now that we're doing that? Okay, so you're getting tested because we want to know why this is this. If you have malaria or typhoid, but if you have blah blah blah, whatever. If you're pregnant, before we even start, administering these drugs to you, that's why we're asking you to do this. Oh, we want you to get an MRI. Why am I getting that? We want you to do a CT scan. Why? We want you to do an X-ray. Why? We just ask why. Don't just say, okay, we want you to do a CT scan. Okay, doctor, let's go. No, because it's not even free, by the way.
Exactly.
So you should know what you're paying for. You should know why you're getting. Also, you should know why you're getting certain drugs. Or what is this drug? Ask. Because, when you know all of these things, you can now let them know that, oh, doctor, I don't take Septrin because I'm allergic to it, I react to it, my face starts to swell, my throat starts to do this thing. Okay, so it means that we have to do something else. Oh, vitamin C doesn't let me do this and all of that. You should ask questions so you're able to, and also speak. Actually, because I realize that there are times whereby some patients just don't say anything, and then they get into trouble, and then it puts other people into trouble. Speak up. If you're allergic to certain things, let them know. If you feel like this doesn't work for you, let them know. If you are not comfortable, let them know.
Information is power, knowledge is control. When you know these things and you have all this information, if anything happens to you, you'll actually be able to, explain that the doctor gave me Septrin, and he said that it is for this reason, but, I'm feeling this kind of way. So you're just able to explain better to whoever is. So, for instance, if Dr. George gave you Septrin and Dr. John is now on duty, you are able to explain to Dr. John that this is what Dr. George did, this is why Dr. George did these things, etc., etc. All right, so the next one, the next tip we have for you is to ensure that infection control is carried out. So if someone comes into your room, ask him to wash their hands. If someone is doing a procedure on you, ask her to follow an infection control checklist. Research shows that hospital-acquired infections kill 100,000 people every year, and you can help prevent them. With the COVID-19 pandemic still on the rise, it's important that all safety and prevention guidelines are duly observed. You know, Kemi from Lagos called this morning and complained about, you know, the fact that the hospital did not have a hand sanitizer. People can actually listen to that phone call or read the comments and say, what's the big deal? Why doesn't the hospital have why is it a big deal that the hospital doesn't have a hand sanitizer? It is a big deal because first of all, we're still in the pandemic. And, you know, second of all, very interesting statistics that I didn't even know about, that 100,000 people die from hospital-acquired infections every year.
That is why people are always scared to go to the hospital.
So, you know, you need to ensure that, you know, whatever medical facility you are in, they actually have, you know, some form of infection control, you know, policy or infection control mechanisms or whatever in place, so that your safety is ensured. And you know, even the doctor in question, safety is also ensured. This is just literally the basic minimum, I would say. Yeah.
I am telling you, look, it is a no-brainer that the reason why you're going to the hospital is to get checked, get treatment, and get better. But then it would be very disheartening if you go there and then you pick up something.
Exactly.
That's what is sad. You go, it'll be very sad. Yeah. You go there and then you pick up something and then, anyways.
I didn't sign up for this.
No, I didn't. The next one says discharge information. Upon discharge from the hospital, the healthcare team will provide you with information to care for yourself at home. Depending on your reason for hospitalization, you may have follow-up care by a home healthcare team. It is important to understand your instructions, and for your safety, make sure you receive answers to all your questions. If there's a phone number to call, make sure you call the phone number. If it is instructed for you to follow up with the physician, make sure you make the appointment. The healthcare team's goal is to provide you with the necessary care after discharge to keep you from having to return to the hospital. This will require you to perform all instructions given. Please. I feel like sometimes we also need to blame patients for some of these things. Yeah. Especially, you know, when it has to do with discharge information and all of that. Ask them, okay, so what am I supposed to do? They would give you drugs and they would give you prescriptions. Yeah. They would say, okay, 2 at night, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. They will tell you eat between meals, before meals, or after meals, whatever. They will tell you if you should come back in 2 days' time to get injections. They will tell you all these things. They will if you ask. And if they don't, you should ask.
You should ask.
Ask for necessary things. Okay, so will you be coming to the house to give me injections? That's if you're paying for it, because I know that kind of option can be a little bit expensive. Okay, would I be doing this? Would I be doing that? And what am I supposed to wear? You know, at times they will tell you, now the reason why I even mention clothing is because they will tell you, okay, so maybe you should be wearing warm clothing because you are having chest pains and everything. Maybe you shouldn't stay under the air conditioning for a while. Maybe you shouldn't drink cold water for too long. Maybe you should be taking warm water every time. Maybe when you're trying to take your bath, just take care of the bandage that you have on your leg. You know, all these little things you need to ask, so that they can give you the necessary things that you can do while you go home, because you can't stay in the hospital forever. Exactly. You shouldn't even be in the hospital for a very long time. Yeah. Only if the illness is probably terminal or it's very, very, you know, it's very important or severe. So those are probably the only reasons why you should be in the hospital for a long time. But if you're there for a while and you're asked to go home, it means that they feel that you're ready to go home and you're fit to take care of yourself, or people around you will be able to take care of yourself. So all of these little tips that we've given you this morning is just for you to, you know this and take good care of yourself. And, you know, make sure that nothing is... I don't know, left higgity-piggity. That's the word I want to use, because, you know, the moment you allow little things escape you, you might actually put your health in danger. Yeah.